If you are a family making less than $250,000 a year, you will not see your taxes go up. Not your capital gains tax, not your payroll tax, not your income tax, no taxes. Your taxes will not go up.
And we're back now with our panel. Pretty unambiguous there. The president saying no taxes are going up if you make less than $250,000 a year. Mara, is he already on his way to violating that?
I think he is. I mean, I believe that not all broken campaign promises are created equal. Some of them are okay to break, or at least the consequences are not so terrible. This one is a pretty big one, and it's one that a lot of his political advisors don't think he should break, because even though maybe it never rose to the level of read my lips, it's pretty serious. On April 15th, long after he was president, he repeated that promise, and he said, if you make under $250,000, we will not raise your taxes by a single dime. So he has repeated this since he's been in office. However, when it comes to how to pay for health care, and the Senate Finance Committee is struggling mightily to find a way to pay for it, they keep on coming back like moths to a flame to this idea of taxing employer-provided health benefits, which would inevitably raise taxes on people making less than $250,000. And the president, even though he says he doesn't like that idea, and he's given Congress an alternative, which they've rejected, his advisors have been remarkably open. And they don't describe his promise as a promise, they describe it as a goal. And I think that's where we're going, because they have to come up with the money to pay for health care. And he also keeps on saying over and over again, this bill will be deficit neutral. You know, this bill will be paid for. I don't see how they pay for it without raising taxes on people who make that amount of money.
Once a promise, it becomes a goal. It's on its way to becoming a betrayal. That's certainly going to happen on taxes. There's no doubt on that. The way he reversed himself on a host of issues, on detention without trial, on rendition, on state secrets, and on having lobbyists in his administration. But all of that is penny ante stuff. The real betrayal of this presidency, the premise of the campaign last year, which he talked about endlessly, and the audience were swooning over this, was he was going to introduce a new politics. He was going to have a politics of the people. He would take the lobbying and the lobbyists and the influence peddlers out of government, the money changers out of the temple. That was what he represented. All that was rubbish last year, and now it's all the more so. We have had, because of his ambitious government takeover, at least attempted, on stimulus, on health care, on cap and trade, which is the entire energy industry, with so much allocation of capital out of Washington, the frenzy of lobbying in Washington has been unprecedented. It's not business as usual as he promised. It's worse. It's the biggest frenzy of lobbying in American history. It's no accident that the oil and gas industries have 50% increase in lobbying expenses, and wind industry is on its way to a tripling of its expenses on lobbying. All of this is as a result of his ambitions of regulating and controlling the economy. If that happens, the increase in lobbying is absolutely inevitable and is happening before our eyes right now.
You know, what Charles says is correct. The defining idea of the Obama campaign, of the Obama candidacy, was that he's different from the other candidates. And it's not that he has more experience. Obviously, he didn't. It's not because he knows more about the issues and is more knowledgeable and his ideology is pure liberalism or something like. Wasn't that? It was that he would change Washington. He would change business as usual, get rid of the polarization. He'd be bipartisan. It would be a completely different town. And I think there's more business as usual than usual. I mean, what's the first thing he does? He turns his agenda over to Democrats in Congress, the most partisan group in town. He said, and then lobbyists. Well, one, he's hired some, but it's just a bunch of different lobbyists who have influence. This is the lobbyists for liberal interest groups. He hasn't bucked a single one of them.
Does he pay any sort of a price for this, do you think?
Not much. I don't think he pays a price for not, quote, changing Washington. If he gets the economy moving again, if he can pass health care and his other initiatives, and he does it without paying for them in a way that angers a lot of people, I think that he can get out from under some of the rap that he's not lived up to every one of his promises. No president does. He has to enact his agenda and look like he's being successful.
But the influence of special interests, the log rolling, the corrupt compromises and deals on cap and trade alone are quite scandalous. And you're going to have it in health care. You already had it in stimulus. That's going to hurt him in some way, because it undoes the premise of a clean and new kind of politics. This has all been turned on its head.
You know, sometimes when you actually redeem a campaign promise, you get in trouble, and this has certainly happened on his promise of closing down Guantanamo.
Now
he doesn't know
probably should have broken.
He doesn't know what to do with.
All right, panel, thank you so much.